If you fell into a barrel of maple syrup and were transformed into a Canadian citizen, where would you move to in Canada and what would you do with your new life? As an Australian, I don't think you get a choice, you just magically appear in Whistler. Charlottetown, pay. I don't know why. I've never been there, I've never met anyone from there, and I know nothing about it. But deep down, I know it's the right Canadian place for me. Gander, Newfoundland. I'll never forget how good the people of that town were when the unimaginable happened. I want to live with people like that. I don't care if it's the middle of nowhere, I already live in the middle of nowhere. Moved to Canada from Ireland 2 years ago, lived in Toronto and loved it. Now living in Banff, Alberta, and I can't explain how beautiful the Rocky Mountains are. Absolutely stunning. Do they assign you a red and black plaid jacket or will you be required to purchase one? Sunnyvale Trailer Park. I'm originally from NYC, moved to Canada 10 years ago. Live on the Bruce Peninsula in Ontario, surrounded by Lake Huron. Love it, never going back to the States. I've never been up to Canada. My mom was born in Vancouver, it would be cool to go there. I hear that Montreal is beautiful. Unrelated, whoever said that Canadians are ridiculously polite never met my mother's side of the family. Edit. Thank you to everyone who has mentioned that I'm likely already a Canadian citizen. Depending on the outcome of the US election, that may be very useful. But please, don't rob me of my dream of falling into a barrel of maple syrup. Thunder Bay, and do whatever they do in Thunder Bay. Presumably make thunder, or fish. Pay or Nova Scotia. I went 5 years ago and it was like a dream. I still have a jar of sand that I'd gotten for someone close to me who couldn't go. Person who is already Canadian, #DOUBLECANADA. I'd move to Dryden, get my pilot's license, and fly either float planes to take clients to fishing lodges on remote lakes, or, even better, get a job as a Forestry Service bomber and drop water on forest fires. Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Just so I could say that I was from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. I would buy a brace of sled dogs and pattern my life after Yukon Cornelius. If Moose Jaw was taken, I'd go to Saskatoon because it's fun saying Saskatoon. If not there, then French Butte or Dogsland. Saskatchewan sounds like a fun place. Montreal. It looks so pretty and I love the vibes, also I want to be able to continue French. Honestly, at this point I'd just be excited to be a Canadian citizen. I'd head off to BC near Vancouver because the mountains are calling. And I'd work to get my family with me. Or dunk them in syrup. I'm sure the kiddos would love that. Letterkenny, have a Gus and brew. Schitt's Creek, the perfect Canadian town. Kingston, Ontario. I love that little town. Visited a few times almost a decade ago for work and had a great time. The little downtown area was awesome with shops and restaurants, and the little harbor was beautiful. Anywhere in New Brunswick, and I would want to be a fisherman or run a small seafood stand. Regina, because the name is kinda funny. I'd move to Yellowknife. Fly in and out of camps for weeks at a time to work. No one would know me, no one could find me. No one would find the incriminating trash I left behind. Edit. I'm Canadian. Although if you need to hide, I can't recommend Yellowknife enough. I'm already Canadian, but I fell into a vat of soy sauce and moved to Taiwan where 18 degrees Celsius is a cold day. Prince Edward Island, fall madly in love with Anne Shirley. Live happily ever after. All my soul's needs. Move to Montreal. I'm Canadian. Anyone from a warmer climate want to swap bodies? Winter is coming and I'm tired of it. Nova Scotia has some amazing uncrowded right-hand point breaks, so that's where I'm headed. I would move to Thorold. I'm probably not cool enough for St. Catharines. Then I would get a job at some tourist site like Fort George. Anyone in those areas want to be pen pals, let me know. Edit. And obligatory enjoying not crying over medical expenses anymore. I would either move to Vancouver or Montreal. Vancouver because I think it compares to Seattle and I've always thought about moving to that area. And Montreal so I can speak indecipherable French and look down upon everyone else. Seriously about Montreal, I would love to improve my French of any kind, and it's supposed to be like Europe without being in Europe. I still have family here I want to be close to. Prince Edward Island because of Anne of Green Gables being my favorite book and TV mini-series from the 80s. One of the best things about the Okanagan Valley is no one knows about it. I think I would choose Calgary in Alberta. It has a city life so I can make some money, but it is also not far from Banff, where I can go now and then should I need a vacation. Ottawa guy. For work I'd just search for treasure and eat craft dinner. Je me déménagerai à Montréal. Je serai un chef ou un sommelier dans quelque quartier cool, comme Mile End ou Rosemont. Je gauderai des soins de santé gouvernementale et je serai un flâneur dans mes journées libres explorant la ville. Dartmouth. Play hockey. Eat chicken fingers, the good kind. I'd move to Toronto, start a band, fall in love with a woman with brightly colored hair who works for Amazon and have to fight her 7 evil exes. Or think about death and get sad and stuff. I'd suggest Lorignal, Ontario. It's a little French town whose name literally translates to the moose. They have a giant moose sculpture, like 3x the size of an actual moose, that they move every year and it's kinda fun to look for it. Some people even sewed him a giant COVID mask that he wears proudly. Plus, the village is super friendly, everyone is bilingual and you're exactly in between Montreal and Ottawa, 1 hour each way, so it's perfect. Also there's an almost 200-year-old haunted jail that you can visit, so that's nice smiley face. From Canada here. Also curious. Given the state of my province, I really haven't looked at anyone else's other than our national updates. Well, I'm already a Canadian but working in Asia. Squamish and BC in general seem pretty cool. Plenty of outdoor sports. Toronto is a great place but I don't miss that cold wind in February and March. Move to Calgary. Apply to their famous Level 1 trauma hospital. Start nursing school ASAP. Get nursing position. Start doing what I love. Possibly become an educator or climb the educational ladder. Edit. I'd also love to finally meet all my Canadian friends after a decade. I studied in Canada for 2 years and loved my visits to Montreal. If I could have stayed in Canada I probably would have moved to that city. I could spend my new life bartending and be perfectly content. Worst case Ontario, I'd end up in Saskatchewan. So that's how Canadians are born? Probably try and crossbreed a cannabis tree with a maple syrup tree and make dank maple syrup, and pay taxes and pick up trash, just general service for the love of Mother Canada. I'd move to the town in Ontario nearest the Quebec border and constantly ****** about francophones. Toronto, mainly because one of my closest friends live there but also because I'm used to seeing many apartments since I already live in a city in Egypt and have lived in an apartment my whole life, but living in Canada would be nicer since there's snow and the trees look beautiful and I never have seen any colors except on TV. Listen. Not that I want you here at all, but honestly, Halifax would be enjoyed by most beer-loving Americans. We have so many bars. You walk out of one bar, and maybe 150 feet, approximately 46 meters, there is another bar. That being said, stay out, for now. Montreal, Quebec. In the 90s my mother used to go to Montreal for work during long periods of time and she would take me with her. Though I was only in my early 10s the city always fascinated me.